Romania has updated the list of countries with a high epidemiological risk, valid as of the 15th of February. I'm Cristina Matescu with the details in this report by Leila Camil. A new list of countries with a high epidemiological risk will be applying from the 15th of February to all arrivals in Romania.
As we discussed in the group, it is the so-called Luxembourg effect, wherein superpower long-wave signals actually mix in the ionosphere, so they're heard on another station's frequency. This is not a defect in the transmitter or the receiver. Kai Ludwig explains further. In Central Europe, it's usually the very outlet, Luxembourg, on 234 kilohertz, which does this to other frequencies, modulation faintly appearing on the silent 162 kilohertz carrier. It can be observed via the Twente remote receiver, where they even have a note explaining this, since it seems to confuse people quite a lot. The propagation outlook from SWPC Boulder, geomagnetic field expected to reach G1 minor storm conditions on February 21st and March 6th. AMK peaking at 20 and 5. Slightly lower March 1st at 18 and 4. And the solar flux predicted to be stuck at 73 all the way through March 6th. And that's World of Radio 2073. Glen Hauser, hoping you've found it informative, and will hear me again next week with a standard disclaimer.
You're listening to IRRS, the Italian radio relay service. We welcome your reception reports and encourage your program comments. They are very much desired and useful to our program producers. To obtain a special numbered QSL card, please write to IRRS, P.O. Box 10980 in 20110 Milano, Italy. That's IRRS, P.O. Box 10980 in 20110 Milano, Italy.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Simon Marks. The British government's new hotel quarantine plans are now operational, with the first international arrivals from so-called red list countries beginning their 10 days in isolation at their own cost.
Radio Thailand's news broadcast from the Public Relations Department of the Royal Thai Government. At AM 918, FM 88, 95.5 and FM 107. For advertising inquiries, please email us at radiothailand@outlook.com.
A world of news in 41 languages on trtvotv.com.
Did you know that?
Did you know that Turkish writer Yaşar Kemal's first novel, titled İnce Mehmet, is known all over the world?
Offshore Radio. Erinnern Sie sich? RRI, Radio Caroline, Miami, Veronica, Atlantis, London. Hier gibt es ein Wiederhören. The Golden Days of Offshore Radio. Auf Ihrer Kurzwellenstation Radio Channel 292. Einschalten und genießen. Offshore Memory.
هذا قال زيادة أتوقعوا كم زد اليوم أستبهلكم دارلهم أبزملوا حساب جوب كم أون هارد إتهم كندن مقلح زد اليوم من قالات يوم أبزا أبنات ماي and إيث دبلو قالات دما أفس قبلنا ندمسهم أستبلو إيث كم إس إنا ندمسا hard
job's hard My job's hard.
My job's hard.
My job's hard.
News brought to you by the Voice of Turkey. of Turkey presents Review of the Turkish Press.
Did you know that?
The Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation seeks to build disaster resilience. Key to the National Plan for Disaster Prevention is public awareness. By knowing how to respond to disasters according to official guidelines and how to use the tools provided by response agencies, you can feel assured of your national safety standard. Be ready, be rehearsed, know how to stay safe.
Radio Thailand is issuing the following recommendations to the general public with regard to COVID-19. To protect oneself from the COVID-19 outbreak, people are recommended to wear a mask, wash hands with soap and water or alcohol gel, avoid visiting crowded places, and avoid making contacts with individuals who cough, sneeze, and present with respiratory symptoms. If anyone has symptoms including coughing, sneezing, panting, or runny nose, please seek medical care at a hospital immediately or inform a healthcare provider regarding your history of recent trouble or call the hotline 1422.
Altruistic heart, we love doing good. His Majesty King Mahawachiralongkorn พระวชิรเกล้าเจ้าอยู่หัว put into practice the message he delivered on ascending the throne, that he would better the lives of his people and allow them to better one another. Thought and compassion. His Majesty the King is the heart of the kingdom.
Thailand Magazine. Does your competitive heart yearn for excitement and fervor in wild and untamed waters? To marvel at one of the most unique racing sports in the world? For thousands of years, canals and rivers have played a vital role in the lives of the Thai people. Riverside communities in particular have used these waterways as a primary source of drinking water.
The period between the end of World War I and the attack on Pearl Harbor lasted only 23 years, from 1918 to 1941. But those years were filled with important changes in American politics, culture, and traditions. We start our review of these years with politics.
Welcome to a fresh installment of Listener's Letterbox, in which we live through the letters and messages that we have received from you lately. I'm your host, Elena Yonaka, thanking you for choosing our company. We start the program with a message from Larry Nelson from the United States, who wrote, I have been listening to Radio Romania International on and off since 1965. I already received a QSL card from you in 1965. I'm retired now and would like to spend more time listening to your English language transmissions. I noticed that you are looking for reception reports. I have typed out 4 reports. I used the form which you have entered on your website. I will mail them to you. I was wondering if you could give a little more information as to what you are looking for. I want to make this worthwhile for you. Back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, shortwave listening was exciting. I would listen to 60 up to 70 countries each month. I have all this documented. I lost interest when a number of countries stopped with their English transmissions. Of course, the internet is the problem. I'm very happy that your country still feels that it is important to reach out to us in the U.S. I will look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your time, Larry. Dear Larry, thank you for writing to us. We are glad you resumed shortwave listening and that you put RRI on your list. Your shortwave listening record is quite impressive. We appreciate the feedback received from our listeners, which can include opinions on how the programs are, be it positive or negative, suggestions on what they would like to hear more in our shows, reception conditions, their opinions on important events that are going on around the world. Our goal is to constantly improve our programs and technical reception conditions. That is why your feedback is very important. Keep on tuning in to RRI and writing to us. Thank you. It's been great to have so many former shortwave listeners return to their hobby. I appreciate every letter and every message that you send us. Stay safe, everybody. I wish you all a great week. From me, Elena and Nakia, it's goodbye.
Coming up next on Radio Romania International, Simply Folk.
Welcome to Simply Folk. I'm Eugen Nasta. Poly-instrumentalist Konstantin Kisar is the nephew of traditional instruments virtuoso Marin Kisar. You're now invited to listen to a traditional song from Oltenia in southern Romania, performed by Konstantin Kisar on the flute.
Since 2017, the Trump administration has been pushing to include a question on citizenship in the 2020 U.S. Census. But groups that launched lawsuits opposing the move assert that inclusion of the question would discourage many undocumented immigrants and their families from participating in the census, which would result in a population undercount nationwide.
The EU vaccine strategy and current efforts to eliminate production bottlenecks. Europe's Catholic leaders then lamented the unequal and inequitable rollout of COVID-19 vaccines on a global scale. They say vaccine competition and vaccine nationalism have hurt people in poorer nations through export bans and other protectionist measures. Finally, the Catholic leaders invite the EU to listen to voices calling for vaccine justice. Europe can make its COVID-19 vaccine policy not only the beginning of the end of the pandemic crisis, they say, but also put it as the beginning of a new beginning for a renewed policy in the service of the common good and solidarity. I'm Devin Watkins.
Elsewhere, Afghanistan on Tuesday launched its COVID-19 vaccination program.
Hello, I'm Nina Ahmedou. Welcome to Health Chat. On the program today, we'll have an exclusive interview with renowned Congolese microbiologist Dr. Jean-Jacques Muyembe, who discovered Ebola viral disease in 1976. But first, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the new outbreak of the hemorrhagic Ebola virus has killed at least 4 people.
The news brought to you by the Voice of Turkey. And now the Voice of Turkey presents the review of the Turkish press. Haber Türk reports that President Recep Tayyip Erdogan criticized the European Union for failing to fulfill its pledge to provide funding for migrants and refugees in Turkey as part of the 2016 Migration Pact, while allocating
billions. In the military, you'll find that military shortwave is in high demand. And for the very simple reason you're not required, they are the gatekeeper. If you've got a transmitter and you've got a receiver and you've got a shortwave connection, you are the gatekeeper. There's nobody else like that. And you can have security too, security of connection. And that's the big disadvantage of the internet. It can be turned off, and that's what happens sometimes.
Yes, it can turn off and it can be powerful.
Yes, you're so right. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. I want to thank you so much, Agent, for your time here. I hope you have a good day in Rangatiki.
No, you had it spot on. Yeah, it was quite absolutely. Rangatiki.
More info can be found on kbcradio.com. And this has been Electronic Echoes, an exploration into the hidden world of shortwave radio with Aaron Castillo.
That was the final portion of a conversation with Adrian Sainsbury, Frequency Manager of Radio New Zealand Pacific. He was talking with Aaron Castillo on his program Electronic Echoes on kpcradio.com at Pierce College in Los Angeles. Thanks to Aaron and Adrian for sharing that interview with us on Wavescan.
If you have any comments and suggestions, and send your reception report and log to the following email address. The address is dxbangla@gmail.com, dxbanzla@gmail.com. Okay, I will come with more DX news in the next edition. Till then, take care. Salahuddin Dollar, Rajshahi, Bangladesh.
Thank you very much, Salahuddin. Conniff and his Brazilian music ends Wavescan today. Thanks very much for listening to Wavescan. Send your AWR and KSDA reports for the program to the AWR address in Thailand and also to the station your radio is tuned to. RRI or WWCR or KVOH or Voice of Hope Africa or to IRRS Italy or to the AWR relay stations that carry Wavescan. Remember, too, you can send a reception report to the DX reporters when their segment is on the air.
This is IRRS Shortwave, the Italian radio relay service in Milan, Italy, signing off. IRRS and Nexus are pleased to receive. We encourage your comments on our programs. To receive a special numbered QSL card, please address your correspondence to Nexus IRRS, P.O. Box 10980 in 20110, Milano, Italy. That's Nexus IRRS, P.O. Box 10980 in 20110, Milano, Italy. This is IRRS Shortwave in Milano, signing off.
Radio Bruge, aanvang van hier rond Glen.
Internazionale, benvenuti ad un nuovo appuntamento con l'attualità romena e con approfondimenti dedicati alle relazioni Romania-Italia. Seguiteci anche via internet su rri.ro e romaniainternational.radio selezionando il canale 3. I programmi di Radio Romania Internazionale sono disponibili anche in TuneIn e via satellite Eutelsat 16A, posizione orbitale 16 gradi est, polarizzazione verticale, frequenza 11.512 MHz, symbol rate 29,950 megasimbol al secondo, standard DVB S2, modulazione 8 PSK, audio PID 61. Sperando di presentarvi un programma gradevole, l'equipe della redazione italiana vi augura buon ascolto.
Giornale radio.
Iniziamo con il notiziario, in studio Gabriela Petre. Il capo dello Stato romeno Klaus Iohannis parteciperà giovedì.
You are listening to International Edition of the Voice of America. I am Pt2 broadcasting from Washington, D.C. After carrying out one of the world's most successful initial coronavirus
Roger Cook and Roger Greenaway masqueraded under the name David and Jonathan. They had their hit with Lovers of the World Unite, another song that I wrote.
On the frequency up 7,000 kilohertz.
People also confirm the recession report from Singapore Bastachiji of India, who listens to our program on February 21st from 16 to 16:30 UTC, and is open for 72 kilohertz and read it simple between 3 and 4.
Thank you very much for spending our broadcast beginning March the 20th. Listeners who now tune in to 780 kHz should switch to 11885 kHz to hear VOV, whilst reminding you of the frequency change between now and March the 20th. We hope the change will bring you better reception quality.
We always welcome your feedback at in-service VOV World, the West Vietnam, number 45 Batio Street, Hanoi, Vietnam, or you can email us at vov.vn. You are invited to visit us online at vovworld.vn, where you can hear both live and recorded programs.
Check out our VV Media app available on both the iOS and Android platforms to hear our live broadcast. We look forward to your feedback on the mobile version of vovworld.vn. Once again, thank you all for listening. Goodbye until next time.
For Life Matters, call 8. You're listening to IRRS, the Italian Radio Relay Service. We welcome your reception reports and encourage your program comments. They are very much desired and useful to our program producers. To obtain a special numbered QSL card, please write to IRRS, PO Box 10980 in 20110, Milano, Italy. That's IRRS, PO Box 10980 in 20110, Milano, Italy. From Francisco American Washington on Simon Moss, the COVID-19 vaccine produced by
Amasa entreprenado, amasa novico. Carai amicoi, ien estas programero mia entreprena racondo de Esperanta redacción de China Radio Internacional.
Special report.
The Thai government plans to begin COVID-19 vaccine rollout from March, starting with healthcare workers and other vulnerable groups.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. The Voice of Turkey presents the foreign press. Dia Press.com. According to the report of Military Intelligence Service in Germany, the number of cases investigated for the suspicion of being far right within the German army has increased. The foreign press brought to you by the Voice of Turkey.
ASEAN Focus.
The ASEAN Committee on Consumer Protection, or ACCP, directs the report of ASEAN Consumer Empowerment Index 2020 Pilot Project, or ACEI 2020, as envisioned under the ASEAN Strategic Action Plan for Consumer Protection 2016 to 2025. The ACEI is a composite index calculated at the national level based on questionnaire-style surveys in order to benchmark the national level of consumer empowerment of each ASEAN member state against that of the entire region. A total of 7,185 respondents across all member states took part in the survey, showing a positive correlation between the level of individual empowerment and the level of education. The ACEI stands at 63.7%, meaning that across the region, the average consumer is moderately empowered. The result of this pilot project will help facilitate a better understanding of consumer empowerment in ASEAN and assist the ACCP in further refining ACEI's methodology for future surveys.
Natural and man-made disasters can strike at any time. Knowing what to do before, during, or after an emergency is a critical part of being prepared and may make all the difference when seconds counts. Awareness, preparedness, and prediction can help reduce the disruptive impacts of natural disasters in our country. Your help on disaster mitigation planning will strengthen the Thai government's capacity to prevent, protect against, respond to, and recover from major disasters and other emergencies in the future. For the people, like altruistic heart, we love doing good. His Majesty, King put into practice the message he delivered upon ascending the throne, that he would better the lives of his people and allow them to better one another. Fostering compassion, His Majesty the King is the heart of the kingdom.
Thailand Magazine. Cycling in the city can be tough. The pollution, the traffic, the crowded sidewalks.
The Voice of Turkey presents the review of the Turkish press. Hürriyet writes that International Credit Rating Agency Moody's report Turkey's 21...
So much for joining us. Stay safe.
And you're listening to radio station WUSB Stony Brook. Time is 6 o'clock. Time once again for Off the Wall.
Schreiben Sie uns einfach eine E-Mail an radio@brrc.de. Nochmal, radio@brrc.de. Das Redaktionsteam freut sich auf Rückmeldungen unter radio@brrc.de oder auf Facebook.
This was the news brought to you by the Bruge, Turkey.
And now, review of the Turkish press. Hürriyet coach presidential spokesperson Ibrahim Kalran is saying that Turkey condemns the coup attempt in Armenia and that Turkey hopes for a speedy return to normalcy in Ukraine.
This is a learning experience everyone should experience at least once. Uniquely, Thailand will return next time with great stories and information about hundreds of other majestic places. An awesome activity still waiting to be explored throughout Thailand, the land of smiles. Thank you for joining us today. Sawadee krap.
Concerning the COVID-19 situation, the public is recommended to impose self-prevention measures by maintaining personal hygiene, such as wearing a mask, washing hands frequently with soap or an alcohol-based hand sanitizer, avoiding people who have symptoms, staying at home when feeling sick, cleaning and sterilizing frequently touched equipment and surfaces. For self-quarantine, people have to quarantine themselves in areas such as rooms in household, rooms in designated hotel, no less than 14 days until the end of the infectious period or the reason for suspicion. Moreover, people must practice self-prevention measures. If a fever develops during the quarantine period, they are required to inform the disease control officers immediately.
Initiatives for the people, like altruistic heart, we love doing good. His Majesty, King put into practice the message he delivered upon ascending the throne, that he would better the lives of his people and allow them to better one another. Fostering compassion, His Majesty the King is the heart of the kingdom.
Cutting in line and unauthorized use of public spaces examples of conflicts of interest. Be a part of combating corruption and building responsibility toward oneself and society among the new generation. If you see a government official acting in conflict of interest or benefiting from or centering their public service around their own benefit, contact the National Anti-Corruption Commission at nacc.go.th or its hotline at 1205.
For the monkeys living in Lopburi, Christmas comes in November. Only instead of presents under the Christmas tree, it's 4 tons of fruits and vegetables at the Khmer Temple. Since 1989, Lopburi has been putting on the Monkey Buffet Festival for the hundreds of macaques living in the city.
7330 Kilohertz im 41 Meter Band und um 19 Uhr auf den Frequenzen 6180 Kilohertz im 49 Meter Band und 7235 Kilohertz DRM im 41 Meter Band. Die Zeitangaben sind in UTC. Im Internet sind wir über Windows Media auf www.rri.ro zu erreichen. Sie empfangen uns auch über den Satelliten Eutelsat 16A, 16 Grad Ost, senkrechte Polarisierung auf der Frequenz 11512 MHz, Symbolrate 29950, Standard DVB S2, Modulation 8 Audio PID 510. Wir danken für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. Auf Wiederhören.
Have been with us, and throughout this month the BBC are celebrating with telling stories about pioneers who have transformed their sports to athletes that are coming out and competing. You can read, watch and listen to a variety of different stories on the BBC Sport website. We've got today in the Premier League coming up after the BBC News with Gareth Barr.
There have been large-scale arrests in Myanmar after the authorities launched their biggest crackdown yet on anti-coup protesters.
Hello and welcome to this review of some of the main events of the week in Romania with me, Călin Cutsu. Over the last 2 weeks, Romania has seen a rising trend in COVID-19 infections, according to data from the National Public Health Institute, updated on Wednesday.
You are listening to Radio Romania International. Focus on Romania. World of Culture.
Welcome to World of Culture. I'm Anna Maria Popescu. What were the performances of the...
Per i tuoi rapporti d'ascolto, Radio Casanova, @hotmail.com.
Wenn's die beste Musik geben. Europa 24.
You are listening to Radio Delta International. The shortwave services from the Netherlands. Listeners, write in your requests, your reception report for nice EQSL. This is Radio Delta International. You heard some nice numbers from Prince, Purple Rain, Brian Adams, All I Want Is You, The Rolling Stones, Beast of Burden. The next song is a great one. It's a Dutch pop artist, a group, Direct, with Soldier on. It's a great number. Listeners, go to our website radiodelta.n, find a nice, very much content. And in the next hour, Radio Delta goes DX we are telling more about our website. 49 meters, 60-20 kilocycles, shortwave, direct soldier on.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be listening. This is Radio DARC with our weekly Technics magazine on shortwave, FM and per webstream. Wir wünschen unseren Hörerinnen und Hörern in ganz Europa gute Unterhaltung mit Meldungen und Berichten aus der Welt der Funktechnik sowie Störungsfernempfang mit S9++. Hallo und herzlich willkommen, liebe Hörerinnen und Hörer. Hier ist wieder Radio DARC, das spannende Technikmagazin rund um die Funktechnik.
Okay, goedemorgen, Johannes, Hendrik, Klein-Oostendorp, Henkie. Henk natuurlijk. De platen voor jou bestemd, hè, deze morgen.
He had also on his channel a nice clip from Radio Veronica in Amsterdam. You can follow Ron the bike DXer to go to his channel. It's a very nice channel with all kind of reception reports, and also last week we did a nice post on our website. If you go to the inner page news, you find a nice post from Radio Purley. Radio Purley is a well-known station from the 80s. We had a nice cooperation, and some weeks ago he sent us an email. It's a personal one, but I asked him for some nice photos from the early 80s, and we posted on our website. So Radio Purley, you can find it, and also the cooperation and some nice regrets from him. You can find it on the news page from radiodelta.am. So Radio Purley, thank you. We appreciate it very much, and I think the listeners also in this community. On the website, you can find his transmitter in the old studio from Radio Purley. His handheld transmitter.
602 on shortwave. This is Radio Delta live on air. This is Radio Delta. 602 on 49 meters.
Radio Casanova and Radio Casanova loves you. Send an email to Radio Casanova. The email address is radiocasanova@hotmail.com. This radio station is promoting love and peace all over Europe.
Here's all to the west. The outlaw, the gunslinger.
故事，动听的故事堆成山，小喇叭好听的不得了。爸爸讲故事时间。
小朋友，你现在听到的是小喇叭节目。
This is the voice of Turkey.
9
راديو الشباب العربي
9 منكم ولكم.
هل يوجد طريق للخلاص غير المسيح؟
من أقوال عيسى المسيح السماوي.
On wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Use Energy Star light bulbs and appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
The Army, through its Peace Talks body, has already voiced its willingness to impose that is open to their opinions and discussing solutions that satisfy all sides. It went as far as to assure it would take on a proposal for a special administration zone to be established for the 3 southernmost provinces of Thailand, as long as the parameters of the zone do not contract the national constitution. In particular, its declaration that Thailand is a single, indivisible kingdom. Pending the continuation of talks, the Fourth Army has sworn to continue enacting its duty of maintaining peace and order across the South and is ready to respond if any unrest or violence is instigated. Nonetheless, it is also committed to using its resources and presence in the region to promote understanding and togetherness, reinforcing the basis of peace negotiations and all progress in the South.
Beautiful, captivating, inviting, and heavenly are but some of the words visitors have used to describe Thailand's renowned waterfalls, which run the gamut from those that hold unique geographical significance to others steeped in myth and legends. Among them, Erawan Waterfall, located in the verdant westernmost province of Kanchanaburi, is recognized as one of the most scenic waterfalls in all the kingdom. Erawan boasts 7 separate tiers spanning 1.5 kilometers through the thick rainforest. Despite its popularity, this site still retains the rugged wilderness feel that nature-starved urbanites and jungle explorers alike have long cherished. Of course, the highlight of this film would have to be the great multitude of circles that populate the various ponds formed into the smooth limestone, sculpted over the eons by coursing water. It would take approximately 3 hours to explore the total breadth of the waterfall and view all 7 of its tiers. The hike can be a challenging yet rewarding experience for those who put the effort. Just don't forget to bring plenty of snacks and drinking water to keep yourself replenished.
Radio Thailand News, broadcast from the Public Relations Department of the Royal Thai Government. FM 88, FM 95.5 and FM 107. For advertising inquiries, please email us at radiothailand@outlook.com.
Crackers can be made out of all sorts of ingredients and flavored with all sorts of spices. But have you ever wondered why every cracker you've ever seen is punched with holes?
That's where we wrap up the Morning News Hour for Sunday, February 28, 2021. Our next news hour is at midday today, but you can catch Radio Thailand's hourly news for updates around the country.
To help you with this, I'll announce times, frequencies, and website addresses at the conclusion of each series of stories. At the website for this show, that's outfarpress.com, you can listen to the past 5 shortwave reports, find advice for listening to shortwave at home, and find internet links for global news sources. Please check it out and tell a friend. In today's edition, you'll hear reports from Germany's Radio Deutsche Welle, NHK Japan, Russia's Sputnik Radio, and Radio Havana, Cuba. We'll begin with Germany's Radio Deutsche Welle.